I'd like to begin by wishing everybody a happy Chanukah. It's also Erev Shabbos, Parshas, Vayeisheiv. It's a short afternoon. Normally Chanukah is very festive. It lights up the winter, the long nights. We gather around the menorah, we have parties. It's a little bit different, obviously, because we have our minds on the situation in Eretz Yisrael. So I'm not sure I'm going to really add any profound divrei Torah in this little video, other than maybe divrei chizuk. Parshas Vayeisheiv is the beginning of the story of Yosef HaTzadik, and we could spend a long time, well beyond the scope of this video, to talk about Yosef, how compelling Yosef HaTzadik is as a biblical figure, his tremendous bitachon, his patience, his ability to always keep his eye on the big picture. That's really the story of Yosef, and it goes on and on. He was different than his brothers. He was elevated among his brothers. That's really probably the source of the problem. They couldn't appreciate his distinction. His father saw it, but at the same time, we know what happens. So there's an important Ramban related to this Parsha, and that is that when we read the story, if we're just offering commentary, we would say that terrible, grave mistakes were made. Warnings were not heeded. The red flags were all over, and nevertheless, the greatest of people seem to reject them. Why would Yaakov Avinu show favoritism to a son when he knew that the brothers were feeling very jealous of Yosef? Why would he instigate the brothers, give Yosef a coat of distinction? Why would Yaakov send Yosef on a mission which was fraught with danger? He sent Yosef to meet up with his brothers. He was outnumbered. It was going to be 10 against 1. Why would he do that? Why would Yosef continue to search for his brothers after he realized that he was lost and that he had fulfilled the mission by going to Shechem? They weren't there. He could have turned back and said that he tried his best. So he put himself in harm's way. And there's so many examples of where we see that this tragedy of the Mechira, the sale of Yosef, could have been avoided. But the Ramban tells us famous words that this whole parsha with all of the details is to remind us ki hagzeira emes, that if Hashem has a decree, that has to be fulfilled. And this was really the beginning of the unfolding of Golus Mitzrayim. It was already promised, it was foreshadowed to Avram Avinu that we would have to somehow be in a different land, experience exile. To what degree is another story, but this had to unfold. And because the Gzeira is emes, that it's true, it's eternal, it's going to happen no matter what, the Charitzus, all of the efforts to try to undo the Gzeira are for naught. It's not going to work. And therefore, what appears to us to be not a comedy of errors, but really a tragedy of errors, it had to happen. And that's something which is a lesson in life. We always say that a person thinks, a Mensch tracht und Gott lacht, that Hashem has his master plan. But that really speaks to the miracle of Chanukah as well. For 3 years, the Jewish people were persecuted by the Syrian Greeks. Yiddishkeit was under some sort of threat. They couldn't keep Shabbos, they couldn't keep Rosh Chodesh, they couldn't keep Milah. They were being asked to assimilate. And for 3 years, they were dealing with very serious adversity. And yet we know how the story ends. And that's what we have to keep in mind when it comes to the story of Yosef. Yosef always says that Hashem has a plan. Elokim chashavo l'tov. Hashem knows what he's doing, and it's all for the best. And during this time, we have to look at the small miracles that are happening even as we speak. The fact that we are able to make headway and deal with the enemy, that we understand that even if this could have been avoided, b'derech hateva, why didn't they heed the warnings, the intelligence? We haven't gotten to the investigations and the recriminations yet, but we have to appreciate the Yad Hashem at work. And the same way when it comes to Chanukah, it was all for the miracle to take place, the defeat of the enemy, the rededication of the Beis HaMikdash. When it comes to Yosef, it was for Galus Mitzrayim to unfold for something even greater, to be able to emerge from that exile, to receive the Torah, to go into Eretz Yisrael, to build the Beis HaMikdash. Hashem has this master plan. And we have to take that chizuk with us now during this Chanukah. It was very heartwarming, very inspiring to see the soldiers lighting the menorahs last night. I'm sure everyone saw the clips, and in Gaza as well, they're lighting menorahs. Who would have thought that once we left Gaza in 2005, we would ever be back again in this world prior to Mashiach, lighting menorahs, and that was taking place. So that's the lesson. HaGezeira Emes, Hashem has His Gezeira. His Gezeira is full of compassion. It's for something greater at the end. The Charitzus, and the diligence, is Sheker. It's false if we try to undermine the Gezeira. Instead, we have to do our part to make sure that Hashem's plan comes true. So wish everybody, again, a good Shabbos, a happy Chanukah, and we should see Nisim like we saw in those days, by Yamim Mahem, and we need it Bizman Hazeh. Good Shabbos.